My first memory is of family violence. It was my father pushing my mother against the kitchen stove. I was 2 or 3 years old. For both my mother and father, family violence was intergenerational. If my mother had a different experience as a child, she would not have ended up in the situation she did, and I wouldn't have either, or my 6 siblings. We would watch my mother being beaten up every day. The violence went beyond mum to us kids. We were beaten with a broomstick, his hands, his belt. I remember vividly the constant fear. My father always controlled and isolated my mother. I remember the constant belittling of her and the threats to kill her or us kids if she left. He made sure we were constantly moving house. There was never any stability for mum to gather her thoughts and to build connections. It got to the point where the violence and control had taken its toll on mum. She was in so much pain physically and emotionally that she could not take care of herself or us. When I was 7 or 8, I was put into out-of-home care for a year. It was only meant to be 3 days, but instead I moved to 17 placements in 12 months. I cried myself to sleep every night. After 12 months in out-of-home care, I went back home. Even though I was bullied, school was my one safe place because it was stable. My father was arrested for offences that had nothing to do with us, and the strangers in suits came to the school. I was left alone in a room with these strangers who asked me questions like, "Tell us about what your mother and father do to you. Tell us about your life." School was no longer my safe place. We ended up in children's court, and again I was put in a room with strangers by myself. I knew they were trying to take us away from mum. People assume that kids don't understand, but we knew. They split me and my siblings up despite my protests. I didn't want to be separated from my sister, and I was crying my eyes out. I was 11 years old, and from that moment I was in out-of-home care until I was 18. There was no one I could talk to. There was no one I could trust. People don't understand that kids pick up on language and overhear conversations like, "They are damaged," or "Your family doesn't want you." I heard those things and thought, it's my fault because I said those things to my lawyer. It's my fault I'm here. I was put in a long-term placement, and that was when I began to realise that our lives had not been normal and our lives still were not normal. Growing up in my home, family violence was normalised, and no one ever told us the violence was not okay. I wish we had known, as things might have been different. This long-term placement then broke down. Until I was 16, I worked hard to get good grades. I was getting 80% and 90% marks, but I could no longer do it. My mental health suffered, I reached rock bottom, and I could either break down entirely or pick myself back up and keep going. Eventually I moved into another placement. The person who took me in was the most patient person I have ever met. She showed me how to cook a meal, how to call someone on the phone, and how to book a doctor's appointment. I never had the time to just be a normal teenager, but with her I did. I passed my final exams and graduated high school, but sadly my brother wasn't as lucky. My brother, who was a year younger than me, constantly ran away from care and did not get any support. He had experienced so much trauma, and at the end he just couldn't cope anymore. He committed suicide. He was only 18. He died because of family violence. My father, the system, and society as a whole all failed him. For children like me, family violence is like one small stone in a massive flowing river. Under the surface, there's a lot more happening that's unseen, and this is what hurts children the most. No kid should have to go through what I've been through, and if I can make it one less kid, that's something amazing in and of itself. There are things you learn from experiences like mine that give you the capacity to understand why people end up who they are. I want children and young people who've been in the same situation as me to know, your origin is not your future, your origin is not who you will be.